ॐ शुक्लां भरतरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करभावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्ज सम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யஹம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிரக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரௌ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரௌ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः. कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचर गुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृते कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं चक्रवाटी ध्रुवमभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for accommodating this change in time. All right. So let's do a quick review of 88 right today. So who wants to do? I need two people. Two of them can volunteer to do 88.
I can try, Rajesh.
Okay. All right. You do 1 to 6 and then someone else please pick 7 to 12.
Okay. Dasakam 88, Sri Santana Gopala Varman. Rage Vacharya putra hriti
Four-liner
nishama.
tune. Four-liner tune. Pragevacharya.
Pragyevacharya putra hriti nishamanaya sviya shatsunu viksham कांक्षन्त्या मातुरुक्त्या सुतलभुविबलिं प्राप्यते नाचितस्त्वं धातुशापादिरन्यान् वितकशिपु भवान् सौरिजान् कंसभग्नान् आनीयैनान् प्रदर्श्य स्वपदमनयथाः पूर्वपुत्रान् मरीचेः.
The first line, the comma is after Nishamanaya. Okay, in the first line.
Yeah. श्रुतदेव इति श्रुतं द्विजेन्द्रं बहुलाश्वं नृपतिं च भक्तिपूर्णं युगपत्वमनुग्रहीतु कामो मिथिलां प्रापिततापसै समेतः गच्छन् द्विमूर्तिरुभयोर्युगपत्रिकेतमेकेन भूरि विभवैर्विहितोपचारः अन्येन तद्निवृतैश्च फलौदनाद्यैस्तुल्यं प्रसेदित तदात च मुक्तिमाभ्याम्.
And the first line there's a im, right? You put the im and then there's a comma. So Gachan Dvimurtirubayor Yugapanniketam
Ekena Bhuri Vibhavai.
Yeah. Adhe mari third line la Phalaudanadyaihi. There's a visarga there and then Tulyam. Okay.
Sorry. Bhuyo tadvaravatya.
Four-liner tune. Bhuyo tadvaravatyam.
Bhuyo tadvaravatyam dvijatanayam mritim tat pralapanapi tvam ko va dainyam nirundyaditi kila katayan vishvavodapyasodaha jishnor garvam vinetum tvayi manujadi jadiya kuntitan chasya buddhim तत्त्वारूढां विधातुं परमतमपद प्रेक्षणे नेति मन्ये नष्टा अष्टास्य पुत्राः पुनरपि तव तूपेक्षया कष्टवादः स्पष्टो जातो जनानां मत तदवसरे द्वारकामापपातः मय्या तत्रोषितोऽसौ नवमसुतमृतौ विप्रवर्य प्ररोधं श्रुत्वा चक्रे प्रतिज्ञामनुपहृत सुतः सन्निवेक्षे कृशानुम्.
So on the third line, first word Maitriya.
Oh, right.
Maitri.
Yeah,
and then fourth line,
sorry.
Yeah, fourth line, Pratignyam Anupahrita Sutaha. There's a visarga that if you have a is, you can remove that. Sutaha, comma, and then Sannivekshe Krishanum.
मानीसत्वामपृष्ट्वा द्विजनिलयगतो बाणजालैर्महास्त्रैः रुन्दानसूतिगेहं पुनरपि सहसा दृष्टनष्टे कुमारे यां यामैन्द्रीं ततान्या सुरवरनगरीं विद्यया साध्य सद्यो मोगोद्योगपतिष्यन् हुतभुजि भवता सस्मितं वारितो भूत्.
You can stop here. And the third line, Tathanyaha, visarga and comma. And then fourth line, after Huta Bhuji, there is a comma there, not after Bhavata. Okay.
Sorry, Rajesh. I'll practice once more.
No worries. Okay. Who wants to do 7 to 12?
I can do Rajesh gar.
Okay, go ahead, Vasanta.
Sadham tena praticim dishamati jevina syandanenabhiyato lokalokam yatitaha timirabharamatho chakradhamna nirundhan chakram shuklishta drushtim Titamatha vijayam pashyeti varam pare tvam pradadarshaha kimapi hitamasam dura duram padante तत्रासीनं भुजङ्गाधिपशयनतले दिव्यभूषायुधाध्यैः आवीतं पीतचेलं प्रतिनवजलदश्यामलं श्रीमदङ्गं मूर्तीनामीशितारं परमिह त्रिषॄणामेकमर्थं श्रुतीनां त्वामेव त्वं परात्मन् प्रियसखसहितो नेमिथ क्षेमरूपम् युवां मामेव द्वावधिकविवृतां तर्हिततया विभिन्नौ सन्द्रष्टुं स्वयमहमहार्षं द्विजसुतान् नयेतं द्रागेतानिति खलु वितीर्णान् पुनरमून् विजायादायादाः प्रणुतमहिमा पाण्डुजनुषा एवं नानाविहारैर्जगदधिविरमयन् वृष्टिवंशं प्रपुष्णन् ईजानो यज्ञभेदैः अतुलविहृतिभिः ईजानो यज्ञभेदैः अतुलविहृतिभिः प्रीणयन्नेन नेत्राः भूभारक्षेपदम्भात् पदकमलजुषां मोक्षनायावतीर्णः पूर्णं ब्रह्मैव साक्षात् यदुषु मनुजतारूषितस्त्वं व्यलासीः प्रायेण द्वारवत्याम् औरुतदैतदा नारदस्त्वद्रसाद्धः तस्माल्लेभे कदाचित् खलु सुकृतनिधिस्वत्पिता तत्त्वबोधम् भक्तानामग्रयायी स च खलु मतिमानुद्धवस्त्वत्वयेव प्राप्तो विज्ञानसारं सकिल जनहितायाधुनास्ते बदर्याम् सोऽयं कृष्णावतारो जयति तव विभो यत्र सौहार्दभीति स्नेहद्वेषानुराग प्रभृतिविरतुलैः आश्रमैर्योगभेदैः आर्तिं तीर्त्वा समस्ताममृतपदमुः सर्वतः सर्वलोकाः सत्वं विश्वार्तिशान्त्यै पवनपुरपते भक्तिपूर्यै च भूयाः पूर्त्यै च भूयाः.
Yeah, you have to say 3 times, okay? That last line.
Oh, Sattvam,
yeah, that last line, yes.
Oh, Sattvam Vishwarti Shantyai Pavanapurapate Bhakti Purtyai Cha Bhuyaha. Sattvam Vishwarti Shantyai Pavanapurapate Bhakti Purtyai Cha Bhuyaha. Sri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
The third line after Artim Tirtva Samastam, there is a comma there, okay, after that, at the im. Okay, all right. So, all right, let's start with the 91st Dasakam. I think we have to start with the stanza 7. Sundari, you can be a student first half. Shanti, can you be a student today? I thought you were tentative, but you were here, so.
Sorry, Rajesh, I'm outside somewhere.
No worry. Okay, Minu, you can be a student. Okay, so Sundari and Minu, you can be first off. Stanza 7. No muhyan kshutradadyir bhavasarani bhavaihi tvannileenashayatvat chinta satatyashali nimishalavamapi tvatpadada prakampaha ishtanishteshtu tushtebhyasana virahito मायिकत्वावबोधात् ज्योत्स्नाभिस्त्वन्नखेन्दोः अधिकशिशिरितेनात्मना संचरेयम्. So we were seeing in the previous stanza, right, where Bhattacharya said, that everybody, whoever is there with my mind always being balanced in bhakti, I will always be Tvatseva. I'm always going to be in your service and worship you alone. And with that, I will actually get a firm devotion towards you. So that's kind of how he ended the previous stanzas. So now, once you get that firm devotion, so you kind of start adding on it, right? So once you get that firm devotion, then all the sufferings which come with this universe, like, whatever you have, hunger, thirst, and anything that you have, that should not ideally affect you, because he says, because if I'm getting that firm devotion, then I'm always going to be engrossed in you. So all of these things, that comes, you will not have that feeling anymore, or you should not have that feeling anymore. And because I'm not bothered by it, the advantage of that, of not being bothered by that, is I will now, it kind of becomes a cycle. I will now get even more devoted to you. And he says, Nimisha lavamapi. He says, not even for a second, not even for a fraction of a second, will my mind be away from you. So that kind of becomes a cycle. You get more devotion. When you get more devoted, then you will not have any of this sufferings. Then when you don't have any of the sufferings, then you get even more devoted, and that cycle kind of continues, right? Now, of course, all of this is very nice to hear. Like we said, it's nice to wish it, but we also have to understand that all of this cannot happen overnight, right? This all happens incrementally, right? And that's what even he's also saying here is, you please bless me so that I gradually start growing in that stage, and eventually you want to reach that state of devotion where you are not affected by any of it. And also, more importantly, anything that is good, anything that is bad, like we spoke last time also, will affect me equally, or more importantly, I'll remain unaffected by any of those things. So no muhyan, so half sound, muhyan, kshut tridadyair bhava sarani bhavaihi. So that is there, remove it, put a visarga comma, bhavaihi. Twan nilinasha yatvat. So that word you can't quite break it. So twan nilinasha yatvat. Put a it at the end of that line and then a comma. Next line, that ich that you will have, that goes away. Chinta satatya shali, long e. Nimisha lavamapi, short p. Tvat padad aprakampaha. You can break the da. Tvat padad aprakampaha. So second line, there is no pause. No muhyan kshutridaadhyairbhavasarani bhavaihi tvannilinaashayatvat chinta satatyashali nimishalavamapi tvatpadada prakampaha.
No muhyan kshutrudadyairभवसरणि भवैः त्वन्निलीनाशयत्वात् चिन्ता सातत्यशाली निमिषलवमपि त्वत्पदात् अप्रकम्पः. No muhyan kshutrudadyairभवसरणि भवैः त्वन्निलीनाशयत्वात् चिन्ता सातत्यशाली निमिषलवमपि त्वत्पदात् अप्रकम्पः.
No muhyan shudrudadyairyapavasarani bhavaihi tvannilinaashayadvat chinta sadatyashali nimishalavamapi tvatpadat apragampaha. No muhyan shudrudadyairyapavasarani bhavaihi tvannilinaashayadvat chinta sadatyashali nimishalavamapi tvatpadat apragampaha.
On the first line, the first half, kshutridadhyair kshutridadhyair bhava.
Shutrudadhyair. Oh, I missed the ir. Okay.
Yeah, Shutrudadhyair bhavasarani. Okay. Ishta nishteshu tushti vyasana virahito, comma, Maikatvava bodhat. Again, put a it and comma. Maikatvava bodhat, comma. Next line, you will have two ij sounds. So one of them goes away. Jyotsnabhis tvanna kendhoho. So the ra that is there, put a visarga comma. Tvanna kendhoho. Next word becomes a. Adhika shishirite natmana. So that's you can't break that word. Shishirite natmana sanchareyam. Remember the word atmana. That's the second part of that. Shishirite natmana sanchareyam. Ishta nishte shtutushte vyasana virahito mayikatvava bodhat jyotsna bhistvanna khendo adhika shishirite natmana sanchareyam.
इष्टानिष्टेषु तुष्टिव्यसनविरहितो मायिकत्वावबोधात् ज्योत्स्नाभिस्त्वन्नखेन्दोः अधिकशिशिरितेनात्मना सञ्चरेयम् इष्टानिष्टेषु तुष्टिव्यसनविरहितो मायिकत्वावबोधात् ज्योत्स्नाभिस्त्वन्न खेन्दोः अधिकशिशिरितेनात्मना सञ्चरेयम्
इष्टानिष्टेषु तुष्टिव्यसनविरहितो मायिगद्वावबोधात् ज्योत्स्नाभिस्त्वन्न केन्दोः अधिकशिशिरितेनात्मना सञ्चरेयम् इष्टानिष्टेषु तुष्टिव्यसनविरहितो मायिगद्वावबोधात् ज्योतिस्नाभिस्त्वन्
Jyot, it's a sound. Jyotsnabhis.
Oh, sorry. ज्योत्स्नाभिस्त्वन्नगेन्दोः अधिकशिशिरितेनात्मना सञ्चरेयम्.
That's it. भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैक्यस्मृतिसमधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्वित्सु भूयादुपेक्षा अर्चाया वा समर्चा कुतुकमुरुतर श्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि द्रुतमुफलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्. So if you're thinking this path of devotion, which is talked about in all these stanzas, if that is complicated, then you can, and we'll see more in the other dasakams also, that the other path of karma yoga and jnana yoga are even more complicated. Like amongst all of this, they'll eventually come and say that bhakti yoga is the easiest, but even that it is so difficult, right? Because he says you have to be in such a level of devotion that like the previous stanza says nimisha lavamapi, not even for a fraction of a second you should not be thinking about anything other than God, right? Which is very difficult, right? So it's very theoretical, philosophical. It's very difficult to implement also, to execute. So here Bhattaripad is saying that even this is very difficult, right? For everybody, for anybody for that matter. And he says even for me, as Bhattaripad says, he says it's very difficult. So he says, and while I know what the end state needs to be, I'm not ready for it. Neither are most of us, right? We are not quite ready because we have our daily life and everything, right? So it's not possible to be like that. So he says, oh Narayana, at least bless me so that even though I don't reach that state, at least for now, let me have tvat prema, let me have love for you to begin with, right? Which we all can. At least have love for you. And then friendship towards your devotees. He says that is extremely important because like we saw in Ambarish Charitram and everything, is even Narayana says my devotees are the biggest. I'm a slave to my devotees. So Bhattaripad also prays that please bless me so that I can be more friendlier towards your devotees, because that is better than even being loving to you, O Krishna. So he prays for that. And then more importantly, he says, let me at least treat everybody the same to start with. So by at least doing that, it's an easy start. I don't have to go to the extreme of always thinking about you. At least bless me with these things, and then I can continue to constantly archayam, worship you, and that automatically, by gradually by doing that, my shraddha, my devotion towards you will continue to increase. So with this way, I'll attain that's eventual state. So you don't have to worry about the end state. Gradually you go step by step. So at least that he says, and as you are chanting, you're also requesting for that blessing, saying that please bless me so I can also be loving towards you and friendly towards all your devotees. Bhakteshveshu, short u, tvadaikya smriti samadhigatau, comma, nadhikarodhuna chet, put it, chet, comma. Next line, there'll be two it, so one of them goes away. Tvat prema, tvatka maitri, jadamatishu kripa, comma, dvitsu bhuyadupeksha. भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैक्यस्मृतिसमधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्वित्सु भूयादुपेक्षा.
भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैक्यस्मृतिसमधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्वित्सु भूयादुपेक्षा. भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैक्यस्मृतिसमधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्विट्सु भूयादुपेक्षा
भूतेष्वेषु द्वैतज्ञस्मृतिसमधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्विषु भूयादुपेक्षा भूतेष्वेषु
त्वदैक्य
भूतेष्वेषु त्वदैक्य स्मृतिसमधिगतौ नाधिकारोऽधुना चेत् त्वत्प्रेम त्वत्कमैत्री जडमतिषु कृपा द्विषु भूयादुपेक्षा
अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकम urutara, you can break the dhamma, kutukam urutara shraddhaya vardhatam me, comma, so that line is continuous. Tvat samsevi tatapi drutam upalabhate, comma, bhakta lokottamatvam. So this is by that, amongst all your devotees, I'll attain a very high state because I'll be incrementally making progress towards liking you and getting devoted to you. अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकमुरुतर श्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि द्रुतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्.
अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकम् उरुत्तरश्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि द्रुममुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्.
The third line, drutam upalabhate.
द्रुतम् उपलभते. अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकमुरतरश्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि द्रुतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्.
अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकमुरुदरश्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि द्रुतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्. अर्चायां वा समर्चा कुतुकमुरुदरश्रद्धया वर्धतां मे त्वत्संसेवी तथापि द्रुतमुपलभते भक्तलोकोत्तमत्वम्.
Stanza 9. आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मावलिविपशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति त्वन्मायामाभिभून्मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यवदधयि विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः. He says all of this, the 5 elements like we spoke about, which then causes the various, like everything, the fundamentally there are only these 5 panchabhutas and then they mix and match and creates all the everything else in this world. All of that puts people, the materialist things puts people in dukkha jale, they put you in a web of sorrow, right, which all of us go through. He says, look, that is nothing but because your maya is hiding your true nature and it is showing up in this, and there's no way anybody can escape over it, right? So, and the basic thing he's saying here is the problems, the dukkha jali that you're getting stuck into it, you cannot escape out of it, right? There's no way out of it, right? The only thing you can do is you have to get fully liberated to come out of it. And I'll kind of give you the different types of, the karma that you go through, right? So the only way to do it is to overcome that. And says the only way to overcome that is with your blessings. With your blessings, I can overcome that. I cannot completely eradicate it, because to eradicate it, you should have a net balance of 0, right? So the way it works is there are actually 4 types of karmas, right? For people who know about this. So this one is called as a sanchita karma. The sanchita karma, a lot of you who are technology people here, think of it as the entire set of karma you have in the sitting in the cloud, right? There's the entire karma you have accumulated over thousands of janmams from when you were a being which can only smell to all the births you have taken. You have built up karma, good karma, bad karma, right? All of that combined is a sanchita karma. When you take birth, right, you decide which set of those karmas you want to implement in this life of yours. That is called as the prarabdha karma. So the prarabdha karma is a portion of that karma you're bringing into this life. Once you brought that karma into this life, you have to get through that. There's no way you can wipe it off or eradicate it unless you're getting liberated, right? That's the only way out. So that prarabdha karma is already in motion. You cannot get out of it. Now, let's say you're getting over your prarabdha karma, this janma, whatever you have gotten, but you are also doing things, other things in this janmam, right? Which is creating good karma and also creating bad karma. That is called as a kriyamana karma, which is kriya karya, to do things, right? So it is new karma you are creating, which is good and bad, which again goes back, right? It gets added. Some of it you will experience that output of that karma in this janmam itself. Otherwise, it gets carried over. That carried over has another name for it, right? It's called as agamana karma or something, which is the carryover, which again goes back to your cloud as your incrementer. So this whole thing is there. Unless this thing nets out, you're going to keep taking birth. There's no way out of it, right? So this has to get netted out. So that's why he says, please, the only way is me getting devoted to you more and more. So at least you can help me overpower the karma that I'm suffering right now, good or bad. You have to help me overcome it, right? So that's what this stanza is. So avritya tvat swarupam, comma, kshiti jala maruda dhyatmana vikshipanti, long e, comma, jivan bhuyishta karmavali vivasha gatin, comma, dukkha jale kshipanti. Avritya tvat swarupam क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मा वलिविवशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति.
आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाध्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मा वलिविविशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति.
The second line, vivashagatin. Second line.
विवशगतीन्.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाध्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मा वलिविवशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति.
आवृत्य द्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मा वलिविवशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति. आवृत्य त्वत्स्वरूपं क्षितिजलमरुदाद्यात्मना विक्षिपन्ति जीवान् भूयिष्ठकर्मा वलिविवशगतीन् दुःखजाले क्षिपन्ति.
त्वन्माया माभिभून् मामयि भुवनपते, comma, कल्पते तत् प्रशान्त्यै, comma, त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यव ददयि विभो, comma, सिद्ध योगी प्रबुद्धः. त्वन्मायामाभिभून् मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यव ददयि विभो सिद्ध योगी प्रबुद्धः.
त्वन्मायामाभिभून् मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यवददै विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः. त्वन्मायामाभिभून् मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेत्यवददै विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः.
त्वन्मायामाभिभून् मामयि भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेद्यव ददयि विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः. भून्मामयी भुवनपते कल्पते तत्प्रशान्त्यै त्वत्पादे भक्तिरेवेद्य वददयि विभो सिद्धयोगी प्रबुद्धः.
दुःखान्यालोक्य जन्तुष्वलमुदित विवेकोऽहमाचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा त्वद्रूपतत्त्वं गुणचरितकथाद्युद्भवद्भक्तिभूमा मायामेनां तरित्वा परमसुखमहे त्वत्पदे मोदिताहे तस्यायं पूर्वरङ्गः पवनपुरपते नाशयाशेषरोगान्. So the first step, kind of summarizing this, right, to get to the path of devotion, to attain that, he says, first is your ability, like they say, right, the first step in solving a problem is to understand you have a problem. So he says, first you give me that level of discrimination to understand that this world is full of sorrow. There are always going to be sorrow. There is no permanent happiness. And I want to overcome that sorrow, right? That's the first step. You have to want to solve that problem, right? He says, once you want to solve that problem, he says, please guide me on the right path. Because you can solve your problems in doing any different ways. You can consume alcohol, you can go take drugs, right? There are different ways people try to eliminate their sorrows, right? But you all decided, I want to learn Devi Mahatmyam, a lot of people here, or Narayaneeyam or Bhagavad Gita, whatever. So you decided that you want to go in the right path, and then you found a guru or somebody who's teaching you. So he says, similarly, please bless me that I find the right person who I can follow and not go into the wrong path, right? That's the second ask. So first is ability to discriminate what is needed. Second is to get the right person who you can follow. And how that person has to help you is, he has to guna charita katha. So the person should be able to talk to you about the behavior, the attributes of the Lord, about the charitram of the Lord, about the katha of the Lord. And by hearing that, you will automatically get more devotion towards you. I'll get more devotion to you, O Krishna. So with that, I will be able to cross over this Maya, and finally, I'll be able to attain that happiness. So with that, he comes with that, oh Pavana Purapate, oh Lord of Guruvayu, please eradicate all the ailments, because that is the first step. First, you have to get rid of all the problems, the sufferings, the diseases I have, and then I'll also be able to pursue these things. So, dukkhan yalokya jantushvalam udita. So that's the way to break it. Jantushvalam udita vivekoham acharya. You can break it that ma. Vivekoham acharya varyat. Put a it at the end of that line. So that entire line is together. Varyat. Next time, if you have a ill, that ill goes away. Labdhva twadrupa tattvam, comma, guna charita kathat yudbhavat. So break the dhya, that will be easier to say. Kathat yudbhavat bhakti bhuma. Dukkhan yalokya jantushvalamudita vivekoham acharya varyat labdhva twadrupa tattvam Gunacharita kathadyudbhavat bhakti bhuma.
दुःखान्यालोक्य जन्तुष्वलमुदित विवेकोऽहम् आचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा त्वद्रूपतत्त्वं गुणचरितकथात् युद्भवद्भक्तिभूमा. दुःखान्यालोक्य जन्तुष्वलमुदित विवेकोऽहम् आचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा त्वद्रूपतत्त्वं गुणचरितकथात् युद्भवद्भक्तिभूमा.
दुःखान्यालोक्य जन्तुष्वलमुदित विवेकोऽहम् आचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा रूपतत्त्वं गुणचरितगदात् युद्भवत् भक्तिभूमा. दुःखान्यालोक्य जन्तुष्वलमुदित विवेकोऽहम् आचार्यवर्यात् लब्ध्वा रूपतत्त्वं गुणचरितगदात् युद्भवत् भक्तिभूमा.
Maya menam tharitva, comma, parama sukamaye tvatpade moditahe, comma, tasyayam purvarangaha, comma, pavana purapate nashayashesha rogan. Maya menam taritva parama sukamaye tvatpade moditahe tasyayam purvarangaha Pavana Purapate Nashaya Shesharogan.
Maya menam taritva paramasukamaye tvatpade modita he tasyayam purvarangah pavanapurapate nashaya shesharogan. Maya menam taritva paramasukamaye tvatpade modita he tasyayam purvarangah pavanapurapate nashaya shesharogan.
मायामेनां तरित्वा परमसुखमये त्वत्पदे मोदिता हे तस्यायं पूर्वरङ्गः पवनपुरपते नाशया शेषरोगान्.
No, third line la taritva kapram comma.
Huh?
Third line, Maya menam taritva, and then there is a comma after that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. मायामेनां तरित्वा परमसुखमये त्वत्पदे मोदिता हे तस्यायं पूर्वरङ्गः पवनपुरपते नाशया शेषरोगान्.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, so the next one, 92, is Karma Mishra Bhakti Swarupa Varnanam. So 91 was kind of the entire path of devotion only. So kind of what is required to get full devotion and what is the state of full devotion, how to go there. The second now, which is sometimes not realistic for all of us. So this is bhakti combined with karma. So you have to still do your karma on everyday basis. How do you have bhakti and karma kind of sitting together, right? That's this chapter. This is also a little bit, like I said, all the 90s chapters are a little bit tough ones, but I think you guys are doing really good. So we'll finish. No, I think this will take about one full class anyway. Stanza 1. Vedhai sarvani karmani aphala varnitani ti buddhva tani tvayarpitanye vahi samanucharan yani naishkarmyamisha ma bhut vedhai nishiddhe kuhachidapi manah karma vacham pravrittir durvarjam chedavaptam tadapi khalu bhavatyarpahe chit prakashe. So here he starts off by telling that for everybody who's generally in Santana Dharma, we have a set of principles of what's to be done, what is not to be done, right? And we all say, oh, you know what, my forefathers say that. And the reference point they always quote is what has been prescribed in the Vedas, right? And the Vedas tell that you have to do certain things. But when on the surface of it, it will look like when you do certain things, you will get certain benefits. So it's very results oriented. That's how it looks like. But it says in reality, the Vedas' original intent is also for you to attain liberation only, not to create more good karma, which then get good benefits. On the surface, it will appear like it is all results oriented, but in reality, it says it's not results oriented, right? So he says, however, even whatever results I will actually get out of doing the Vedic rituals, it says, I will give it back to you, O Krishna, because I don't want anything, because then I'm adding more karma to myself, right? So he says, even whatever benefits, even though it is not supposed to be results oriented, if I do get results out of it, even that tvai arpitani, and I will completely surrender all of that to you, right? Because I don't want to be bound by any of the actions I'm doing. And that's the problem with karma yoga, right? You should reach that state where you are saying, I will do all these things, but I'm not going to expect any results, which is very hard, right? Then the second one is, then while I'm doing this, from mana, karma, vacham, to any of my mind or speech or actions, if I do things wrong from a Vedic principle, right? He says, first he says, bless me so that I don't do anything wrong, right? It's a prayer. He's saying, bless me so I don't do anything wrong. But even if I end up doing something wrong, even that bad karma, I'm giving it to you only. Because I don't want to be bound by that bad karma also, right? Because that is a fundamental the way of karma yoga is you should do your actions but not expect anything in return, which is very hard, right? So he says, by doing this, I'm not going to be bound by good or bad actions, and all of that I'm going to dedicate over to you. Bhavat yarpaye, the last stanza, last line it says. So Vedais sarvani karmani, so that that you have, the in and you have, you strike it, put a ni, karmani, comma. The next word will start with a now. aphala parataya varnitaniti buddhva, comma, tani tvayarpitanyeva hi samanucharan, comma, yani naishkarmyamisha. Vedhai sarvani karmani aphala parataya varnitaniti buddhva tani tvayarpitanyeva hi samanucharan yani naishkarmyamisha.
वेदैः सर्वाणि कर्माणि अफलपरतया वर्णितानीति बुद्ध्वा तानि त्वय्यर्पितान्येव हि समनुचरन् यानि नैष्कर्म्यमीशा. वेदैः सर्वाणि कर्माणि अफलपरतया वर्णितानीति बुद्ध्वा तानि त्वय्यर्पितान्येव हि समनुचरन् यानि नैष्कर्म्यमीशा.
वेदैः सर्वाणि कर्माणि अफलपरतया वर्णितानीति बुद्ध्वा तानि त्वय्यर्पितान्येव हि समनुचरन् यानि नैष्कर्म्यमीश. वेदैः सर्वाणि कर्माणि अफलपरतया वर्णितानीति बुद्ध्वा तानि त्वय्यर्पितान्येव हि समनुचरन् यानि नैष्कर्म्यमीश.
The second line, after samanucharan, there is a pause. Okay. Tvayyarpitanyeva hi samanucharan, and then pause. Okay. Ma bhut bedair nishiddhe kuhachidapi, comma, manaha, put a ich sound, manah, karma vacham pravrittir. So put a plus at the end of that line, third line, and then you will have a ir from the next line which will come. So pravrittir durvarjam chedavaptam, and then a comma. So one comma after kuhachidapi in the third line, then continues, and then chedavaptam, comma, tadapi khalu bhavatyarpaye chit prakashe. Ma bhut vedhair nishidhe kuhachidapi manah karma vacham pravrittir durvarjam chedavaptam tadapi khalu bhavatyarpaye chit prakashe.
मा भूद्वेदै निषिद्धे कुहचिदपि मनः कर्म वाचां प्रवृत्ते दुर्वर्ज्य चेदवाप्तं तदपि खलु भवत्यर्पये चित् प्रकाशे. मा भूद्वेदै निषिद्धे कुहचिदपि मनः कर्म वाचां प्रवृत्ते दुर्वर्ज्य चेदवाप्तं तदपि खलु भवत्यर्पये चित् प्रकाशे.
The second line, sorry, fourth line, first word, durvarjam, im sound.
दुर्वर्जं चेदवाप्तं.
Yeah.
मा भूद्वेदैर्निषिद्धे गुहचितमपि मनः कर्मवाचां प्रवृत्तिर्दुर्वर्जं चेदवाप्तं दतपि खलु भवत् यत्पये प्रकाशे.
Third line la kuhachidapi kapram comma irukku. Okay.
गुहचितपि, yeah. मा भूद्वेदैर्निषिद्धे गुहचितपि मनः कर्मवाचां प्रवृत्तिर्दुर्वर्जं चेदवाप्तं तदपि खलु भवत्यर्पये चित् प्रकाशे.
Yeah. Let's just switch halfway. Ram, you can be a student, and Srividya, can you be a student today?
Yes, yeah, I can.
Answer to Yastvanyah karma yogah tava bhajanamayastattra chabhishtamurtim hridyam sattvaika rupam drishadi hridi mride kwapi va bhavayetva pushpair gandhair nivedhyairapi cha virachitaihi shaktito bhakti putaihi nityam varyam saparyam vidadadhai vibo tvat prasadham bhajeyam. Says
sorry, I'm also driving, Rajesh.
Oh,
Sorry.
no problem. Okay, so who is left? So maybe Vijaya, you can be student today as well, or
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will try. Yeah.
All right. So while the stanza, right, we saw the karma yoga in the act of performing Vedic sacrifices, etc. There is also another form of karma yoga, which is the puja you do every time, right? The regular puja you do, that's also an action you're doing, right? So from that is the agama, it's the agama tradition of doing puja. So he says, I'm seeking your grace, because with that, even when I'm worshipping you through those means, right? He says, and you can worship through any form you want, of any Lord you want. He says, please bless me so that I can take your pure sattva guna form and put it in my mind, in my hridi, in my heart. I will take an image of you, or I will have, if you cannot imagine the Lord, because sometimes you sit to meditate, different things will run in your mind. So either if you can take the Lord in your heart, if you're not able to, he says, at least through drishadi, which means through stone, or through mridi, or through clay, no matter the 8 substances from which you can make an idol. So he says, through any of those things, if I'll have an idol, then please bless me so I can at least worship you in those forms with pushpair, gandhair, nivedhya, with flowers, incense sticks, and all, whatever nivedyam. With that, I will continue to seek your grace. So that is also a form of karma yoga that you are actually doing. So please bless me. So according yata shakti, he says, more importantly, as I'm able to. So there's nothing to say this is the right way to, this is the best way to do it, this is the worst way to do it, because we saw in multiple, even in 88 Dasakam, we saw the one king and one Brahmin also, right? They all worship Krishna differently. It says, according to my ability, I will worship you. So please bless me as well. So tvat prasadam bhajeyam. With that, I'll get your blessings. Yes tvanyaha, put a ich sound. Yes tvanyah karma yogaha. So that is there. Remove it, put a visarga comma. Tava bhajana mayas tatra chabhishta murtim, comma. Hridyam Satvaika Rupam, comma, Drishadi Hridi Mridi Kwapiva Bhavayitva. Yastvanyah Karma Yogaha Tava Bhajanamayas Tatra Chabhishtamurtim Hridyam Satvaika Rupam Drishadi Hridi Mridi Kwapiva Bhavayitva.
यस्त्वन्यः कर्मयोगः तव भजनमयस्तत्र साभीष्टमूर्तिं हृद्यां सत्त्वैकरूपां दृशति हृतिमृति क्वापि वा भावयित्वा. यस्त्वन्यः कर्मयोगः तव भजनमयस्तत्र साभीष्टमूर्तिं हृद्यां सत्त्वैकरूपां दृशति हृतिमृति क्वापि वा भावयित्वा.
यस्त्वन्याः कर्मयोगः तव तत्र चाभीष्टमूर्तिं हृदयं सत्त्वैकरूपं दृशति हृदि मृदि क्वापि वा भावयित्वा. यष्ट्वानः कर्मयोगः तव भजनमयस्तत्र चाभीष्टमूर्तिं हृदयं सत्त्वैकरूपं दृशति हृदि मृदि क्वापि वा भावयित्वा.
Vijay, on the second line, first word, hridyam.
Hridyam.
Yeah. Okay. Pushpair, gandhair, nivedhyairapi cha virachitaihi, comma, shaktito bhakti putaihi. Put a visarga on comma there. Next line, that ir goes away. Nityam varyam saparyam vidadhadai. 3 dhas coming there. Vidadhadai vibho, comma, tvat prasadam bhajeyam. Pushpair gandhair nivedhyairapi cha virachitaihi shaktito bhakti putaihi nityam varyam saparyam vidadhadai vibho tvat prasadam bhajeyam.
पुष्पैर्गन्धैर्निवेद्यैरभिच विरसिधैः शक्तिधो भक्तिपूदैः नित्यं वर्यां सपर्यां विदधदैवो त्वत्प्रसादं भजेयं पुष्पैर्गन्धैर्निवेद्यैरपि च विरसिदैः शक्तिधो भक्तिबोधैः नित्यं वर्यां सपर्यां विदधै विभो त्वत्प्रसादं भजेयम्
पुष्पैर्गन्धैर्हृदयै निवेद्यैः अपि च विरचितैः शक्तितो भक्तिपूतैः नित्यं वर्यां सपर्यां विदतदै विभो त्वत्प्रसादं भजेयम्.
Vijay, and the third line la nivedyairapi ra sound. If you have a visarga there, then just remove it, put a ra. So nivedyairapi.
निवेद्यैरपि.
Yeah.
निवेद्यैरपि. Okay. पुष्पैर्गन्धैर्निवेद्यैः अपि च विरचितैः शक्तितो भक्तिपूतैः नित्यं वर्यां सपर्यां विदधैर्विभो त्वत्प्रसादं भजेयम्.
Again, you said nivedyaihi. You said nivedyairapi ra sound.
निवेद्यैर्. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Stanza 3.
निवेद्यैर् अपि च विरचितैः.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Stanza 3. स्त्रीशूद्रास्त्वत्कथादिश्रवणविरहिताः आसतां ते दयार्हाः त्वत्पादासन्नयातान् द्विजकुलजनुषो हन्तशोचाम्यशान्तान् वृत्त्यर्थं ते यजन्तो बहुकथितमपि त्वामनाकर्णयन्तो दृप्ता विद्याभिजात्यैः किमु न विदधते तादृशं मा कृथा माम्. So he's calling out two classes of people. And you have to remember when Bhattacharya wrote this, right? This was probably in the 1600s. When he's writing this, he's saying that the Shudras, people who are of lower caste, as well as three, he says women, right? And he says these two people are, sometimes he says they're unprivileged, that they're not able to hear your deeds, tvat katha, your deeds and excellences of chanting your name. That's why I said it was written during his time, because when he fast forwards to 2023, I think he should, instead of writing three, he should actually write men, right? Because all of you know, like anytime you go to the Devi Mahatmyam, which some of you are going to come this Saturday, you'll see for every 100 women, there are only 10 men. So it's actually the other way around. So where men are not getting the chance, it's women everywhere. But anyway, in his case, the point he's trying to say here is there are a lot of people who are not getting the opportunity to hear about your incarnations, your names, and all of your great things. And he says, I pity them. But he says even more pitiable and sympathizable are the people who are Dvija Kula Janusha, the people who are twice born, which means the people who are Brahmins, who are learned, who know what the right thing is, but they still go into the wrong ways. So although, so what they mean is, instead of actually being devoted to you, they get into materialistic ways of how to make money. So this is writing even in that times, right? He says, those are the people I sympathize with even more, because they should be more devoted to you. They should actually want to be near you and get aligned with you. But instead they lose their control and then they become very materialistic and go after the wrong things. He says, please, Tadrisham Makan, don't make me like them. So this is also a prayer to say that the opportunity you have given me to learn about you, O Narayana, make sure I'm putting it to use and I'm not going and making money out of it and actually going in the wrong way and selling this, right? So that is the intent of this. So, Stri Shudras Tvat Kathadi Shravana Virahitaha. Put a visarga there in comma. You may not have it, but put a visarga there. Asatam te dayarhaha. So put another visarga there, comma, end of that line. Next line, there is a is that goes away. Tvat padasanna yathan dvija kula janusho, comma, hanta shochamya shantan. Stri shudras tvat kathadishravana virahitaha asatam te dayarhaha त्वत्पादासन्नयातान् द्विजकुलजनुषो हन्तशोचाम्य शान्तान्.
स्त्रीशूद्रास्त्वद्गदादि श्रवणविरहिताः आसतां दे धयार्हाः त्वत्पादासन्नयातान् द्विजकुलजनुषो हन्दशोषां यशान्तान् स्त्रीशूद्रास्त्वद्गदादि श्रवणविरहिताः आशधां ते दयार्हाः त्वत्पादासन्नयातान् द्विजकुलजनुषु हन्दशोषां यशान्तान् श्रीशूद्राः
Shudras. Kathadi.
त्वत्कदादि श्रवणविरहिताः आसतां ते दयार्हाः त्वत्पादसन् आयतान् द्विजकुलजनुषा हन्तशोचां यशान्तान्.
Yeah, the second line, first word, Tvat Padasanna, double na, Sanna Yathan.
Second
Line,
Padasanna, okay.
Sanna Yathan.
Padasanna yata. Shri Shudasdahatvat Kadadi Shavana Virahitaha Asatam Te Dayar Haha Tvatpada Sanna Yatan Dvijakula Janusho Hanta Shocham Yashantan.
And this first line is
Yashanta.
Shudras. First line. Stri Shudras.
Sri Shudras.
Yeah.
Shudra.
Shudraha, and then you put a visarga there. Is to join it. So it becomes Shudras.
Okay. Sri Shudras. Hatvat Khadati. Okay.
Vrityartam te yajanto, comma, bahu khatitamapi tvam anakarna, you can break at that mark, tvam anakarna yanto, comma, dripta vidyabhi jatyaihi, put a ich sound to join, vidyabhi jatyaihi, kimuna vidadhate, comma, tadrisham ma kritamam. Vrityartam te yajanto bahukatitamapi tvamanakarnayanto dripta vidyabhijatyaihi kimuna vidadhate tadrisham ma kritamam.
वृत्त्यर्थं यजन्तो बहुगरिधमभि त्वां नाकर्णयन्तो दृप्ता विद्याभिजात्यै किमुन विदधते दातृसम्माकृधामाम् वृत्त्यर्थं यजन्तो बहुगरिधमभि त्वां नाकर्णयन्तो तृप्ता विद्याभिजात्यै किमुन विदधते दातृसम्माकृधामाम्
Vrityartam te yajanto bahukatitamapि tvam anakarnayanto dripta vidyabhijatayaihi kimuna vidate tadarsham makritamam.
And the third line left, vidhadate.
Vidadate.
Yeah.
Vidadate. Okay. Vrityartam te yajanto bahukatitamapi tvam anakarnayanto dripta vidyabhijatyaihi kimuna vidadate tadrisham makritamam.
Yeah. And the vidyabhijatyaihi, that visarga ich sound comes there. So vidyabhijatyaihi kimu.
Jatya.
Okay.
Okay.
पापोऽयं कृष्णरामेत्यभिलपति निजं गूहितुं दुश्चरित्रं निर्लज्जस्यास्य वाचा बहुतरकथनीयानि मे विघ्नितानि भ्राता मे वन्द्यशीलो भजति किल सदा विष्णुमित्तं बुधांस्ते निन्दन्त्युच्चैर्हसन्ति त्वयि निहितमतीन् तादृशं मा कृताम्. So again, he goes on to say, so when you're practicing any religion, right, your prayers you do, whatever you do, there are always people who are going to ridicule you. There are always people who are going to laugh at you. And people are going to make statements like, and this is literally what he's saying. This, that this person somebody will come and tell, oh, this person is always talking about Rama and Krishna all the time. And he's doing it because he's trying to conceal the bad habits or the misconduct that he actually has. He's just doing it to conceal it. So they will actually start making all of these claims about you, right? And then he says, Bhrata me, your own brother, that means your own relatives, whoever, they themselves will say that you are actually giving a false appearance of worshipping Vishnu all the time, but in reality, you are actually a bad person. So people will say all these things. So he says, number one prayer is please help me from these people so that you are not getting influenced by this and you then don't stop doing what is right. That is number one. And number two is you don't become like them, which is also very important, right? So even while we all pray, there are always thoughts that run in our mind that, what, that person I don't think is actually as religious as they think, as they appear to be. Even sometimes people may think like that. Even if you're religious, you will think that this person is acting religious, but in reality, he's not. He or she might just come and do all these things in all these events, but they're actually not religious. So we will also think like that. She says, please bless me so I don't become like that. I don't think like that, which is also extremely important. So one is to be able to protect yourself from people who think, and number two, not become like that as well. So papoyam Krishna Rametyabhilapati, that's one word. Rametyabhilapati, comma, Nijam Guhitum Duscharitram, comma, Nirlajjasyasya, that's one word. Vacha, comma, Bahutara Kathaniyani me Vignitani. Papohyam Krishna Rametyabhilapati Nijam Guhitum Duscharithram Nirlajjasyasya Vacha Bahutara Kathaniyani me Vignitani.
पापोऽयं कृष्णरामेत्यभिलपति निजं गूहितुं दुश्चरित्रं निर्लज्जस्यास्य वाचा बहुतरकथनीयानि विघ्नितानि पापोऽयं कृष्णरामेत्यभिलपति निजं गूहितुं दुश्चरित्रं निर्लज्जस्यास्य वाचा बहुतरकथनीयानि विघ्नितानि
पापोऽयं कृष्ण रामेत्यभिलपति निजं गूहितुं दुश्चरित्रं
Nirlajjasyasya. Nirlajjasyasya. Lajja. Remember the word lajja, right? Nirlajjasyasya.
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 Nirlajjasya asya, right?
You can't break it like that. You have to say that whole word together. Nirlajjasyasya.
Nirlajjasyasya.
Correct.
Nirlajjasyasya vacha bahutara kathaniyani me vignitani. Papoyam Krishna Rametyabhilapati Nijam Guhitum Duscharithram Nirlajjasyasya Vacha Bahutara Kathaniyani me Vignitani.
Bhrata me Vandya Shilo bhajati kila sada, comma, Vishnu mitham bhudamste, comma, Nindantyuchair, that's one word, Nindantyuchair, Hasanti Tvai Nihita Matin. So that is that is there, you remove it, put a in, and then put a comma.
Yashilo
Sorry, somebody's.
bhajati.
So Nindantyuchair Hasanti Tvai Nihita Matin, put a in, comma, Tadrisham Ma Kritamam.
Is it im or in, Rajesh?
In. So the
Mateen.
mateen. So when you have a letter that ends in a in, and you have another word that is starting with tha right after that, then the sandhi rule is you put a is in between. That in goes away and it becomes an is. But so because we are passing there, we are removing that is and putting that in back in. So n sound. Bhrata me vandyashilo bhajati kila sada Vishnu mitham bhudamste Nindantyuchair hasanti Tvai nihita matin Tadrisham ma kritamam.
Bratha me vandyashilo bhajati kila shatha Vishnumittam pudhamshe Nindan yuchair hasanti tvai Nihitamadin Datrusam ma kruthamam Bhrata me vandyashilo bhajati kila shatha Vishnumittam pudhamste Nindan yuchair hasanti tvai Nihitamadin Datrusam ma kruthamam.
The third line la bhajati kila sada, and then there is a comma. Okay.
Bhajati kila sata. Okay.
Bhrato me vandyashilo bhajati kila sada Vishnu mittam budamste Nindan uchair hasanti tvai nihitamatin Tadrisham ma krita mam.
Bhrata, third line first word, bhrata, not o.
Okay. Bhrata me vandyashilo bhajati kila sada Vishnu mittam budamste Nindyan uchair hasanti tvai nihitamatin Tadrisham ma krita mam.
We'll probably do one more or two more and then we'll start today. Shweta chahyam krite tvam munivara vapusham prinayante tapobihi Tretayam shrukshuvadhyankitam yajna rupam yajante Sevante tantramarghaihi Vilasadarigatam dvapare shyamalangam Neelam sankirtanadhyeriha kalisamaye Manushastvam bhajante. So, we hear about these various rishis, right, in the olden days, who do tapas for thousands of years. And we think and say, how do they do all these tapas for hundreds of years and thousands of years? And we're going to see some stories of this set of people called prachetas, who do underwater penance for 10,000 years, right? Wonder how do they do it? He says it's because in each of the yuga, it just talks about this, about how you worship the Lord. So in the first yuga, which is the Satya yuga, he says, oh, Narayana, Krishna, your form is pure white. You come in a very white form and you have a look of that with matted locks and like you're wearing a tree bark. The form you appear is in the form of Munivara Vapusham. You take the form of sages. That's the form the Supreme Lord takes. And the people who actually worship the Lord in the Satya Yugam are worshipped in the form of meditation through internal and external sensory control. So they are able to control their senses, internal and external, and they're able to do tapas for thousands of years, etc. And they worship you in that form, and you are in the pure white form. Then the second yuga, which comes Treta Yuga. In the Treta Yuga, you are in the form of Arunathanum. You are in the form of a red color. That's your complexion. And you come in you have, golden hair and you have Chaturbhujam as well. And then the worship of you in that time is form of Yajna Rupam. So by chanting the Vedas and by performing the Yajna. That is the way people actually worship you in the second yugam, which is the Treta yugam. Next, in the Dwapara yugam, so in the third yugam, which is the Dwapara yugam, you then come in the form of a blue complexion, right? Blue complexion, wearing an yellow garments, because that is, of course, Dwapara yugam is Krishna avataram, right? So you come in the form of a blue complexion, wearing an yellow garment, and then you come with your Srivatsa mark and all the other things. And there, the people who worship you across Tantra Margaihi. So through all these tantric rituals and rites and performing all the appropriate things, that is how they actually worship you in the Dwapara Yuga. Now coming to the Kali Samaye, in the Kali Yuga, the form you take is a dark blue complexion. That is the form that people worship you in. And how do they worship you? Is Sankirtanadhehi, by actually singing your praises, right? By Nama Sankirtanam, right? Which is by saying the names of the Lord. So nobody here is capable of doing tapas for thousands of years. None of us can do that, right? Nor can we do the yajnam like they used to do there, where you have to follow a lot of strict rules and actually do the yajna. We do small yajnas. We can't do it like some of the rishis we are going to see when we do the next session of how they do. So we can't do that. Similarly, the tantric ways also we are not able to do. So the simplest way here in Kali Yuga is by Sankirtanadhyehi, through singing your names and songs. Let me know.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a little thing. Sri Purandara Dasa has beautifully said the same thing. Dhyanavu Krita Yugadali, Yajnavu Yagavu Treta Yugadali, Archane Dwaparadali, Kirtana Matradi Kali Yugadali, Mukti Anive Purandara Vitala. Whatever it is, ultimate salvation is given by you. That's what he said.
Exactly. And how you approach is different, and the form of the Lord is, of course, different, because depending on what you're doing, because Sankirtan, you're singing. So that's why I always say people who are singing Carnatic music, people who are doing Bharatanatyam dance, or people who are chanting, at the end of the day, you are all just saying that, talking about the Lord in different ways, right? And that's how you have to kind of come to realize it anyway. And this is going to, couple more stanzas related to this topic is going to be there. But anyway, so that is the way it is, you are worshipped in the Kali Yuga. So Shweta Chayam Krite Tvam Munivara Vapusham, comma, Prinayante Tapobihi, put a Visargan, comma. Next line is goes away. Tretayam Sruk Sru. See, Sruk and Sru are the ladle which you use to perform the homa. You have a long stick which you have that. So it's called a Sruk and Sru. There are two of them. You will see next time you go see a homa, you will see there's two different shapes of it. One is called Sruk, one is called Sru. So Sruk Sru, Suksru Vadhyankitam Arunatanum. You can break it that ma. Sruk Sru Vadhyankitam Arunatanum Yajna Rupam Yajante. That second line, there's no pause. Shvetachayam krite tvam munivara vapusham prinayante tapobihi tretayam sruksruvadhyankitam arunatanum yajna rupam yajante.
Svetachayam krite tvam munivara vapusham prinayenne thabobihi tretayam shrukshuvat yingitam arunatanum yajnarupam yajante. Svetachayam krite tvam munivara vapusham prinayenne thabobihi Prinayante tabobihi tretayam shrukshuvat yengitam arunatanam yajnarupam yajante.
Shvetaschayam krite tvam munivara vapusham prinayante tapobihi tretayam srukshur vadayankitam arunatanum yajnarupam yajante. Shvetaschayam krite tvam munivara vapusham prinayante tapobihi tretayam srukshur vadayankitam arunatanum yajnarupam yajante.
Sevante Tantra Margaihi, put a Visarganda, comma. next line, that ir, next word, the ir goes away. Vilasad arigadam dwapare shyamalangam, comma, Neelam Sankirtanadhyair iha Kalisamaye, comma, Manushas Tvam Bhajante. Sevante Tantramarghaihi Vilasadarigatam Dwapare Shyamalangam Neelam Sankirtanadhyair Kalisamaye Manushas Tvam Bhajante.
शेवन्ते तन्द्रमार्गैः विलसधरिकथं द्वापरे श्यामलाङ्गं नीलं सङ्गीतनाट्यैरिह कलिसमये मानुषास्त्वां भजन्ते सेवन्ते तन्द्रमार्गैः विलसधरिगतं द्वापरे श्यामलाङ्गं नीलं सङ्गीतनाट्यैरिह कलिसमये Manushasत्वं bhajante.
Sevante tantramargaihi vilasadarigadam dvapara shamalangam neelam sankirtanadhyaihi iha kalisamaye Manushastvam bhajante.
Vijay, if you have fourth line, Sankirtanadhyahi, if you have a visarga there, you have to put a R. So, Sankirtanadhyair iha Kalisamaye.
Okay. Okay. Sevante tantramargaihi vilasadarigadam dvapara shamalangam.
Dwapare Shamalangam.
Sorry. Dvapare shamalangam neelam sankirtanadhyaihir iha kalisamaye manushastvam bhajante.
Manushastvam bhajante.
Manushastvam bhajante.
Stop the class here today. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurusharthatmakam brahmatattvam tattavad bhadi sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you all for taking this evening. Go ahead, Meenu.
Yeah, sorry, the last slokam அது எங்க இருந்து சொல்றீங்க நீங்க? First தியான ஸ்லோகம் சொல்றீங்க. அதுக்கு அப்புறமா இப்ப finishingல
first chapter first slokam adu.
Okay.
You were not there for. Yeah.
Okay.
So the next this Sunday also we have the Chandi Homam, which some of you are all going to be there. So we can't have the class this Sunday. Aditha Sunday is a Labor Day weekend, which I'm sure people will be out. And then the Sunday after that is our Narayaneeyam Parayanam. And I want to finish this remaining 1.5 Dasakams before that. So you complete your 51, right? So this is half left in this. Then the 97th chapter is the Markandeya Puranam, which also I want to finish. So we'll have to somehow find some time. So 15 stanzas, other Markandeya Charitram will take a lot of meaning also. So it will probably be around, we can probably squeeze it in one class. So we'll try to fit one class somewhere because the next 2 Sundays are not going to work. Okay. So we'll have to be
next Wednesday, Rajesh.
Same time next week.
Yeah, same time.
Yeah, we can probably do that. We can probably do next Wednesday. I know it may not be feasible for everybody, but we'll have to kind of adjust, right, and fit in because we just have the 15 more stanzas left.
So you want 2 Wednesdays or only 1 Wednesday
just
will
one.
be sufficient?
I think we should be able to finish it in 1 Wednesday. Worst case, we may take extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right, to kind of get it to completion. Because at Markandeya Charitram, there's a lot of stories that come in there. So I don't want to dilute that. Okay. All right.
Thank
so
you.
we'll let's keep it for next Wednesday as the next class. Okay. All right.
Sure,
Thank you.
Rajesh.
Sure.
Sure. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Rajesh ji. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.